Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pod Maverick Mavs Party. Now, normally, as you guys know, I would be doing a show with Josh Bowe almost every night. He and I try to do a recap, but he had the opportunity to do something social this evening, so I kicked him out and told him he should go have some fun. So I'm here by myself tonight. We're going to be doing a little bit of a quick game recap, and if anybody wants to come join the show, you should click the pinned post in the YouTube comments. It is a StreamYard link. It's fairly intuitive and easy to use. You can join from your phone. You can join from your computer. Anything you'd like to talk about, including tonight's Mavs Bulls game, where the Dallas Mavericks snuck out a rather entertaining win, 120-119 over the Chicago Bulls. Unless I am mistaken, the Mavericks are now in sole possession of 9th in the West because Sacramento got their butts kicked by Orlando Magic earlier tonight, where Orlando looked like a completely different team than what the Mavericks were playing the other night, which good for the Mavericks, works for them in that direction. This was, it was kind of an odd game. This whole trip has felt odd. The Mavericks have now won let's see here, how many games in a row here? They've now won 4 out of their last 5 after really getting waxed and losing essentially 9 of their previous 10. That kind of coincides with the return of Anthony Davis. He was with the team tonight. He shot the ball like ass for the second straight game, but ultimately didn't really matter. He had 18 points on 7 of 23 shooting. He was 4-7 from the free throw line, had 7 rebounds, and then 5 assists. And if you're really looking to take something positive away from Anthony Davis's game, I really enjoy watching him operate passing wise out of the high post. He had a couple of connections with Kai Jones that were very, very pretty. And if you have dreams of Derek Lively dipping in from the dunker's spot down there, I do not blame you one bit. There's elements of what the Mavericks want to be with how they've been playing lately. And they're winning these games, really not shooting particularly well. Davis is kind of the main culprit. Klay Thompson helps kind of bolster the average. But the Mavericks were just 9 of 30 from 3 tonight. They got the crap kicked out of them on the offensive rebounds and kind of second chance points, only for that really not to matter anyways. It was a pretty entertaining game. The Mavericks ended up down in the first quarter following kind of a crazy last second heave. Who was that from to end the quarter? Sorry, I'm losing my mind a little bit. Kobe White hit a crazy shot to put the Mavericks down. Then the Suns, started off that second quarter just roasting from 3. The Mavericks found themselves down double digits, just 3 minutes into the second quarter. But, Klay Thompson probably playing one of the more impressive games of his second half of this Mavericks season as Mavericks have needed him. That's pretty fantastic for Dallas. He ended up having a 5 of 10 from 3 night. That was really nice. And the Mavericks, look, the Bulls came back and there were some lead changes and things like that. But honestly, if you're watching this game and you're watching it the whole time, it never really felt like the Bulls were going to win. The Mavericks process was better. And the way, they were playing better defense than the Bulls. The Bulls had a significant more number of turnovers than the Mavericks. Let's see here. It was 19-6 on the turnover margin, and the Mavericks outscored the Bulls 27-9 on those points conceded over turnovers, and that just ended up being a really big deal. The Bulls might have had a little bit more of an explosive offense at times. The rookie, I want to butcher his name, but I want to say it's Buzelis, was remarkably fun to watch. He was probably, him and Kobe White were really, really entertaining. And it, it's just, this is a kind of game where you're hoping to turn in on a Saturday night. We still got probably a pretty big cadre of Mavs fans that expect them to quote tank, and that's just not going to happen. The players aren't going to do that, and this front office isn't going to do it as much as I see the wisdom in it personally. But I'm not here to really bitch about what they're not going to do. That's just not what my podcast is about. I will save that for the summertime. Second half, the Mavericks took control a couple of times. Each time the Bulls would rally back. And where the game really got out of hand was in the fourth quarter. The Mavericks were up. It's almost, let's see here. It was 100-91. The Bulls closed the gap all the way down to 197 after a pair of threes. It's about at the 6-minute mark. Josh Giddey got blocked by Clay on a draw, or I guess PJ Washington did on a foray to the basket, and then Klay Thompson hit a splashdown three to put the Mavericks up 6. Spencer Dinwiddie hit another 3 to put the Mavericks back up 9, and at that point, it felt like the game was over. However, despite the Mavericks leading by as many as 12 points with 3 minutes left in the game, the Bulls made a kind of miracle run. They got within 118 to 115. And then Nikola Vucevic missed the front end of a free throw in a free throw shooting contest. The Klay Thompson got fouled on the next inbounds, and the Mavericks were up 120 to 116 with not enough time left to make a difference. Nikola Vucevic did hit a trailing 3-pointer to pull the game within 1, which was a interesting, if you were betting, that was kind of the line there on that. So it was an interesting game. I had a good time watching it insofar as a Saturday night game following a long road trip. So, I think we can kind of talk about some of the different players, some of the different goings on. But if you are here listening to us or listening to me and would like to join the show, remember there is a pinned post in the YouTube comments, which you can click and come hang out with me at least for a little bit, and then we can get on with our Saturday nights. Sorry, this is where I miss Josh, when I just don't have the ability to talk quite as well as he does. See a lot of chatter in the comments about how the Mavericks own Giddey. There's something to this. Like, there's just no question. I think we've, as a collective fan base, have been so disdainful of Josh Giddey because the Mavericks simply beat the crap out of him every time they played. It seems like he doesn't have a good game, and that's just really funny considering how well he has played for the majority of the season. Let's see here. I got to give credit tonight to Spencer Dinwiddie. His 36 minutes, probably one of his most efficient games. He had a near triple-double, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 11 assists, just a single turnover. And he was responsible for a late bucket, driving to the rim to put the game kind of out of reach for the Mavericks. He drives me crazy. I don't really want to watch him play basketball anymore. And yet, I have to admit that he has been playing exceptionally well as of late and helping lead the Mavericks to these victories. And I can't help but think, looking ahead to a play-in game, despite what the Mavericks have, some of the talented guys on the roster, your PJ Washingtons, your Klay Thompsons, your Anthony Davises, obviously, I can't help but think that the Mavericks postseason, like an attempt to get to a series against the Oklahoma City Thunder, for example, or, whoever is the second seed, really, really relies on Spencer Dinwiddie playing an outstanding game. Now, he has a track record of playing well in really big games for the Mavericks. Game 7 against the Suns, he was huge in helping Luka Doncic bury the Mavericks. So, he's just a guy to kind of keep an eye on and think about in the coming days and weeks, which is pretty fun. The next guy, that's worth giving a shout out to is Kai Jones, who's once again, like, this man is shooting with the Dallas Mavericks. He is shooting 84% from the floor. He has missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 shots. He's missed 7 shots in his time with the Mavericks. I don't know what they're going to do with him. He beyond this season. And strikes you as the kind of guy where you just like to see him on the Mavs roster. Like, he's more functional than Powell. He's a little wild, but I'll take wild. Like, he's a not quite an X factor, but he's something peculiar. He's something fun. They put him in a position to succeed, and you can't ignore the results. Again, 7 missed shots in 7 games. So, and 3 of those were in 1 game. Just kind of a spectacular game. Kind of a nice, underrated PJ Washington game. 32 minutes, 19 points, 7 rebounds, 2 blocks to go along with a pair of assists. So that's pretty fun. PJ in the open court. Do you remember against Boston last year? It felt like every time PJ Washington dribbled, it was bad. Like a disaster would befall the Mavericks every time PJ dribbled. I have enjoyed PJ doing things in the open court as of late. Like he really has a good knack with his own body position to figure out what's going on with the drives. So he ends up getting some of these really nifty reverse layups, and it's one of these things that I think that the Mavericks need to find a way to take advantage of early in the game. He tends to fade as the game goes along. He's just not a constant scorer. That's fine. Jacob in the chat says, such a big leap from PJ. It's amazing to watch. He's going to get paid. I think the Mavericks still have him for 2 more seasons. So, it's something to worry about tomorrow. All right. Who else is really worth giving a shout out to? Obviously, Klay Thompson, 20 points, 1 rebound assist, but the 20 points were big. 5 of 10 from the floor from 3-point range. When he just shoots without hesitation, I feel so much better about everything. And that's why you signed him. Obviously, it's not the final team that you would have thought way back at the beginning of the year. But I like the way he's battled, and I like the way he's played. Another really fun game from our guy Najee Marshall. 27 minutes, 14 points, 7 rebounds, pair of assists, and a block and a steal. Just, I think Najee off the bench is much more, I don't want to say, I guess unpredictable is what I would say there. Unpredictable in a way to where he's attacking bench units more. He's not having to be a primary initiator against another team's starters, and just getting to utilize him in fewer minutes, I think, is probably going to serve him well down the stretch. He's been playing some pretty big minutes totals for the Mavericks lately. I mean, so is everybody, just because the sheer lack of bodies. But it's been nice to see what he can do even in the limited minutes. We had a Dwight Powell sighting. Somehow, just a hilarious stat line from Dwight Powell. 8 minutes, 1 steal, 3 fouls, +9. Just a winning guy. Do you know what I mean? Just a real winning player. It's a good take from Raymond. Our favorite G League player, our guy, Mr. Brandon Williams, had a little bit of a rough night. I mean, 12 points, it was needed. They obviously needed his points in 16 minutes. He got to the line 6 times, which was pretty helpful for the Mavericks in this game, where they really weren't getting the line very much. But it did feel like that he was absolutely looking for his shot. And that's what Raymond pointed out in the chat, just how willing our guy was to put up those shots. And, if you got 6 free throws out of the attempt, I think you can assume he had several more attempts on goal that just don't get marked in the box score. That's just sort of the way it goes. Max Christie, the fate of Max Christie is a little bit difficult for me to deal with at the moment. I was looking forward to seeing him play with Anthony Davis. And, over the last couple of weeks, he just hasn't. There's just games when it feels like, all right, this is not going to be a Christie game, which he started off with so many 15-point games for the Mavericks. Just, I don't really know what to make of it. He had an all right game against Orlando, but this is the first game in a Maverick uniform. Yeah, this is the first game in a Maverick uniform where he has been held scoreless. That's pretty crazy. He's played a lot of games. He's been one of the most available Mavericks down this stretch. I mean, his wow, just sort of something to process there for me. Wasn't entirely expecting a Max Christie game to fade like this after how well he had been playing. So, if you're looking ahead to play-in stuff, Christie's another guy who I think has to be functional. Doesn't have to be great. He has to eat up minutes and be useful in those 15 to 20 minutes if that's what he's going to play. I'd be curious because I'm not keeping up with this chat. This is my fault. You'd think I'd know better. How many games do the Mavericks have left of Brandon Williams? I saw someone curious about Kai Jones's availability, and I think Kai Jones can still play in the playoffs. He has not played enough games this year. Let's go look what his B-ball reference and see how many, because you get up to 50 with the team. He's played 34, I guess 35 if you include tonight. So the Mavericks would have him down the stretch, which would be helpful, and into the playoffs, which again would be very, very helpful. We're looking at a bit of it's interesting. Our chat and our fan base wants the Mavericks to outright sign Brandon Williams and Kai Jones for next season. Normally I shit all over on these ideas. I'm like, you can just find better players. I don't know if that's the case. I don't think the Mavericks are going to find better players. Brandon Williams knows what he's doing. I think he is an actual point guard in a way that Jaden Hardy is not. And that's the sort of thing that everyone should be looking forward to. Real point guard play. And that's just sort of where we are. So let's look ahead a bit. I know Josh did this the other night. I can't help myself. You got this Nets game coming up. That'll put they should absolutely annihilate the Mavericks. I'm sorry, the Brooklyn Nets. That will put the Mavericks at 500 again, which is very interesting. Then I think those next 4 games, Atlanta, Los Angeles Clippers, Los Angeles Clippers, Los Angeles Lakers, are going to decide where they end up in the play-in. I've not done the math. I don't care to do the math. I'm not necessarily going to do enough to. I don't want to. When I start looking at play-in versus not making the play-in stuff, I get very strategic, and I'm like, why are the Mavericks even trying? Let's go get a better draft pick. But that's just not happening, and you don't want to hear it from me. People don't want to hear me be like. People who don't want to hear me being negative about the players that they currently have. And I think that's fair. So I'm not going to do it. But just know that, I think these next 4 games following the Brooklyn game are pretty important. Atlanta is a weird team. Where are they right now? They're first in the Southeast Division despite being 3 games under 500. What a terrible conference. Yeah, they're still fighting for I don't think there's any way they make it out of the play-in because the teams that they're kind of in this morass with Orlando, the Hawks, Bulls, and Miami Heat, but they probably would like to win just to be as high up as possible. So that's something. And then these Clippers games worry the hell out of me. Just if you're hoping for a play-in stuff, the Clippers are fucking good. And Kawhi Leonard looks like a world eater again, and that's really maddening. All right, guys, been here about 20 minutes. I'm going to pause for just a second, insert some ads if there's at all any interest. And joining me on stage here, I got Bryan, who's going to come talk for a few minutes. We can bring anybody else up, and then we can kind of get on with our night. So I'm going to pause for just a few seconds, insert some ads. Please listen to those, and then we will be right back. All right, guys, thank you so much. You may have noticed there's a couple of things. First, there's no longer kind of in, let's see here. Where is down here? There's no longer that Blue Wire icon. We are not with Blue Wire anymore. We have switched to a different company. Odyssey is the name of the media company, and they have a radio station here in Dallas. Pretty sure they run 105.3. You think I should know that as a partner, but I'm kind of off my game tonight. This presents some opportunities for Josh and I. Don't know what those opportunities are yet, but we're looking forward to it. And we'll probably be talking about them. I'd probably do a little bit more in the next show. We weren't really prepared. The way our contract ended, I didn't want to go without doing any shows. So we're rolling right into that. Again, if you're listening to us on an audio stream and you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'm just going to be candid with everybody who's still listening. The next 30 days of our podcast is going to determine a lot for Josh and I. So any regular support would be very helpful. Anybody listening on YouTube, please consider subscribing if you haven't. We're this close to 3,500 followers. Subscribers, call it what you will. We lost a whole bunch after Luka, which was very sad. We'd gotten very close. We had hoped to get to 5,000 this year, and I think we would have had they not traded Luka Doncic, but here we are. Anyway, I'm going to bring up Bryan right now, and anybody else who wants to join, just go ahead and click that link. Bryan, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I am pretty good. There was a Mavs basketball-like substance. Yeah, we're getting closer to it being actual basketball, and having some actual guards out there would certainly help. But Spencer and Brandon Williams are doing the best that they can, and we went out there and we actually beat what's been a pretty decent team for like a month and a half now.
4 straight, and they've just looking back at their schedule. This would be the kind of team that would make frenemy of the podcast, Matt Moore, crazy, because he's the one that you correctly asserts that March basketball is garbage. And so it's like, what do you take away from this? My friend Bryan used to be at Cosmos on Twitter. I'm pretty sure he is now Brian J Draft. He loves draft stuff on Twitter. He's a Bulls fan, and he's just like, fuck this team. They're gonna put me. We're in purgatory forever. And that just made me laugh. But I really like some of the Bulls players like that. What do you say? Is it
Buzelis? Yeah.
Dog. Stupidest facial hair I've ever seen, but that man is a psychopath. I appreciate him.
Yeah, real wispy Napoleon Dynamite facial hair, but I love that kid pre-draft. Just like his tape was pretty good, and while he isn't quite the athlete that he thinks he probably is, with some of the attempts that he makes and like the way he tries to get to the rim. He gets to the rim really consistently. That dude is a dog. He's gonna try at the very least on defense, and he's really long, and he's decently athletic and pretty big. And that dude just really, 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 really wants to be good, and he always plays with a chip on his shoulder. He was talking about how he felt he should have been the number 1 pick going into the draft, and
I think talking himself
up that way.
What do you think in hindsight? I really like his game, man. Maybe it's recency bias, but I don't really see anybody else that like. I just don't care about Stephon Castle. I'm just think he's fine.
I think Castle's good. I would still have Castle and Reza Shea and Sarr ahead of him. I think Sarr's a funny one because the last 3 weeks are the confirmation bias of this is why you take Sarr number 1, because if he can already kind of do the perimeter stuff, like the perimeter, like 7-1, like perimeter wing stuff, and then also be a really good roller and also be a really good creator, like as a short roller. And then you still just work on doing the big man stuff, at least on defense later, then okay, you take that. And then Reza Shea has been pretty solid for the Hawks most of the season, but especially since he came back from that injury like 30 games ago, he's been rock solid since then. Helps DeAndre Hunter being gone and out of his way, so his minutes are consistent. But yeah, he's been much better since. But outside of that, Reed Shepherd flashed that one game where he finally got a start because I think Fred VanVleet was hurt. Dillingham flashes here and there, but over the last month, Modest has certainly been like one of the most consistent, like in the mix with those guys, like Jalen Wells in Memphis too. Just because he gets a lot of minutes and he takes all the tough defensive assignments. But I love Modest. I think he's going to be really good. And I just looked at the box score and saw he had like
28. Like 20 fucking 8 points, man. He was responsible for the threes that were keeping the Bulls within striking range. He hit one from the left wing where it was like that Klay Thompson swish noise. The one like the emphatic pop, like the non-arena assisted, just like such a beautiful crisp swish that you hear it in the mics. I don't know. I love those kind of shots.
Yeah, he went like 5 for 7, and even if you take that away, and it's 16 instead of 28, he still had 9 rebounds and 5 assists. Like that dude was everywhere tonight, and that's kind of the way his game is set up for him to be. That's what Josh Giddey and Kobe White now playing like they are kind of sets him up to be able to do. And I think if you're a Bulls fan, man, you went from having maybe one player I thought was worth something on that team to now I'm like, okay, you probably got 3. That is a big step up, and I will take getting the 6th or 7th pick in this draft again. That, like, obviously you want Cooper Flag, but I don't know, man. I think just knowing your team has good players, take it from me, there's so much solace in that because not every team can say that.
All right, so talk to me about this game from the Mavericks point of view. What did you happen to like? Are there any? I honestly have very little notes on the Mavericks because this is a longish road trip. There have been some home games, but it's been a lot of big time East Coast swing. Austin in the chat notes that finishing the road trip on a win is hard, and the Mavericks did it rather emphatically. I think that's a great take from Austin. I'm really did you happen to hear my first half rant about Spencer Dinwiddie or no?
No, I think I missed it.
Short recap. I am alarmed and intrigued at how much Spencer Dinwiddie might matter to the Mavericks winning a play-in game.
Yeah, he's been comfortably the best playmaker since he's been comfortably the best playmaker since he had that really bad Miami game.
Mm-hmm.
Probably like even before Kyrie got hurt, just because he's consistently been in the lineup and not really been out. He keeps his assist numbers, decent, middling to high, somewhere around like 5 to 8 a game. Keeps the turnovers low for the most part, outside of like really bad games. I don't think he is going to hold up against a playoff level defense, even in the play-in, like that kind of pressure. Like if
look
it's
at who we're talking about, though. Look at the range of teams. Just go scan it real quick. Did the Kings frighten you for Spencer Dinwiddie? Like unless he gets like isolated to death on
yeah, it feels like Keon Ellis is going to get that matchup or something.
Okay.
It's okay. Like Keon Ellis defensively, I think he's got something for Spencer. Everybody else on there could potentially be barbecue chicken. That's for certain. But Spencer
just for the play-in
kind of going to give it all back up.
Yeah, I mean, if the Mavericks were to like get to the 7 seed somehow, like if they're to play up, and like I don't even know if that's possible. Actually, I don't think it is. Hell, fuck, who cares? I don't want to do that right now. They obviously like can't win a series. But it's a riot to the fact that they're kind of in this position. I also wonder how badly things could go over the next several games to where they could end up.
If any, knock on wood, if that PJ ankle injury comes back up at any point in the next few games, if AD starts to feel any kind of twinges or anything like that in his abdominal or in his groin over the next couple of games, this all goes under immediately. And that is in spite of how well Najee is playing, how well Brandon Williams is playing, how well Kai Jones is playing. By the way, shout out to all of our two-way guys. All 3 of our two-way guys this season, even 4. Shout out to Jazz Gordon from earlier in the season. But all of our two-way guys have come through and really given us something at important points in the season. And I hope that all 3 of them, Jazz too eventually, but I hope all 3 of the guys that we have now, Kessler Edwards, Kai Jones, Brandon Williams, I hope they're all on standard contracts next year because I think they're playing well enough to deserve that.
Yep.
But like, despite how well all those guys are playing, if 1 or 2 of those 2 guys goes down, it's kind of cooked. No matter which play-in team it's against, or even against like these teams that were playing on the back end of this final stretch to close the season. I am super duper intrigued though to potentially see next week. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, the PJ AD lively front court that was promised. That will be appointment television. I don't care who's playing point guard. I will watch that.
Well, AD has been just ass on offense, with the one exception of operating as a distributor from the elbow. There's just some there. His scoring will come into place, I think, when his stomach or his abs or his mind or whatever, the myriad of things could go wrong with AD. Shout out to Spencer for a very annoying quote about AD after last game. But I still want to see it. I just do. Yeah. It might. I've gotten over any real concerns that it's going to be crowded, because I think if it does look crowded, I think at that point you have to kind of give, like, AD's gotten the green light to take threes. He's not hitting any of them, but he's actually taking them. And I would hope that at that point you could say the same thing for Lively. Like, it's something we've wanted for almost 200 games. So I would love to see it now, just to, And guys, keep in mind when I say like keeping defenses honest, like, they're not going to guard Lively. But
No.
who cares? Like, give him just let's let our
Make them think about it. If a defender even like stunts at him or thinks about taking a step towards him, and that keeps them out of position, like from someone who may be cutting into the lane, that is a win.
Yeah.
If he makes it, if he misses it, it doesn't matter. They do eventually have to let him shoot it, and they're letting 80 shoot these long twos and these threes now because they have to make sure that they're manufacturing some kind of space that the defense will respect when Lively is in the rotation again. Just because otherwise they're not going to have any room to play in. And 80 needs that space at the elbow and on the wing to be able to play in. And so I'm excited to see how they're going to make that work. I'm excited to see some 4-5 pick and rolls, empty side clear out, 80 and Lively, maybe some 3-4 with like PJ and 80 and like Lively in the opposite dunker spot. I'm excited to see how they're going to try and make this work. I think all three of those guys are really talented offensive players, and I think AD and Lively in particular are really talented passers who don't get enough credit for how quickly they process what's happening in front of them and how accurate a passes that they are and
And
how high their feel is.
PJ's a good mover and cutter.
Yes. So you could even do like the 4-5 pick and roll like I was talking about, and plant PJ in the opposite dunker spot. You can put him in the corner if you want more space. You could put him in the dunker spot too because he's a lob threat also. Like there are a lot of different combinations you can try with that
kind
of lineup.
Tape on it. There's no tape on it. So it's like teams that are gonna defend it are gonna have to figure out how to do it in real time, which that element of surprise is kind of what the Mavericks have to be banking on at this point.
So. Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna go to it at this point in the season to try and sneak their way into the play-in or hold on to that play-in spot for dear life, that's got to be what they're banking on. So, I will be watching no matter what.
Something. All right, we'll pivot to one more thing, and then I'll let you go, and then everybody can get on with their nights because it doesn't look like anybody else wants to join the show, guys. And remember, we're with a new company. I committed to a certain number of episodes over the course of the year. Now that I'm back from my, pretty fucked up family situation thing, I'm going to try to keep doing these. And we'll do them in the off season. Maybe I'll do them on Fridays again in the summer. Those were fun the summer before last. We'll see what we can do. Talk to me about anybody that you like in this tournament. Is there anybody that your Maverick hackles are being raised for?
Oh, brother. My guy through this process, I think someone, it might have been Benny, introduced me to him a month or so ago, a few weeks ago, and I've been kind of just watching him with a keen eye ever since. LeBaron Philon at Alabama.
Okay.
I would love to have that dude on this team. He is a guard, 6'4", about 178, 180 pounds, somewhere around there. Yeah, kind of wiry, skinny, long arms, really good defender, really sits down in his stance and does a good job guarding guards, like on-ball creators, off-ball, big on-ball creators. He was guarding Kasper Siakachonis and guarding Igor Dimin when they played BYU and then Illinois. He and the Alabama defense locked up Kasper Siakachonis. Like, that dude might fall out of the lottery. That's how bad they cooked him. Igor Dimin, it was going about the same way for 3/4 of the game. He eventually shook back because he's really talented, and that's what talented guys do. But LeBaron Philon is a really good offensive player. He's an inside the arc scorer who isn't at Alabama really getting to show what he can do from mid-range, where he did that more in high school. The shooting's really the concern with him, but he shot 41% his senior year of high school. He is really good offensively on ball or off ball. Good night. Sorry. Yeah, I like that dude. I think that he could play really well with Kyrie or whatever guard we decide to throw out there because he can play on or off ball and he transitions between both really smoothly. Yeah, and I think he just has really good feeling. One thing that separates him from a lot of the guards closer to the top of this draft, outside of like maybe Jace Richardson, he's an awesome finisher. If he gets near the rim, he finishes it. No problem. Through contact, around contact. It doesn't matter how skinny he is. And I do think he's going to eventually put on like muscle and weight and get to like a good NBA size. And 6'4" at like point guard or
you
even
think he's 6'4"? I don't think he's 6'4".
I think he's like 6'3.5". He looks like one of those guys. I think he's about that height though.
Not to get all NFL combine on us, but like I think the measurables and that sort of stuff are going to do a lot for him, because if he actually is 6'4", then that matters. I because I mean, you just see these guys like is who's the Houston guard that's not getting any play because he's small?
That Fleming is a wing. It's not
Or am I thinking the Wolves guard, the rookie?
Damn it! Hold on, I'm gonna look. Let me see.
There's one of Rob something. Am I losing my mind, guys?
No. I think I know who you're talking about.
Because
I don't really keep up with college ball.
No, but the one that's on
Houston.
Yeah, that's on the Houston Rockets right now.
Roberts?
No.
Let me see. No,
am I just this stupid? This is really good podcasting.
Or are you thinking of the other
Dillingham
guard, Mark?
Dave, thank you, David. It's got to be Rob Dillingham. Isn't he really damn small?
Oh, the guy that's in. I thought you were talking about a.
Sorry, no, that's in the NBA now.
Yeah, yeah, Dilly went to Kentucky. Yeah, Rob is one of my guys too. Yeah, he's like 6'1.5", 6'2". They listed him as like 6'3".
A special body type, like 6'1", 176 ain't gonna cut it. You just got to be for me. And I could be wrong. I just think if you're talking, let's say the Mavericks draft 10 to 14, no matter where they finish up. I'm just at that point. We're getting way ahead of ourselves here. I'm just thinking big swing guys at that point. Give me a big fucking swing. Don't give me a 6'1" guy. Give me someone if you think could be the next Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like if you're, some, I don't know. Just give me somebody interesting.
Yeah, that's the kind of potential that I think that he has because of like how, frankly, incredible a finisher he is for a guy who isn't like an explosive vertical athlete.
This is your guy at Alabama.
Yeah, Phylon.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. I think he could pop that kind of way if given like the proper context to grow into it first, and being able to play off of a guard like Kyrie Irving. Obviously, maybe not early in your first year, but early in your career when Kyrie does get healthy, that whether you decide to stick with AD, move on from AD, whatever the Nico Kidd situation is, going beyond that. If Kyrie is there and he gets to learn from him and play alongside him to start his career, that's the kind of thing that could get you along your way and get you set to really like trying to reach the peak of your potential. If you're a guy like that who has these crazy traits and who has decent size, at least as far as we can tell, I like him a lot, and I'd like him a lot on this team.
Just one point of clarification. My man, David Sanchez, one of our new writers at Mavs Moneyball, he says if we make the playoff, we could fall to like 18. Your draft status won't change based off of where you end up finishing because of the play-in. You would stay where you are at the end of the regular season, pre-play-in. That's what I've been screamed at. Oh, Zachary, where'd you go? We had one more guy who was waiting to talk, and I guess he had to dip out. That's the main argument where Coop and some of these other Mavs people are like, they need to keep trying, yada, yada, yada. Tim and M, I like this. We're going to have a lot of time to talk. Dillingham plays for Minnesota. I see. Yeah. I knew it was work is calling. Well, Zach, we'll get you next time. I'm going to be doing more of these. Thank you for that, Austin. I'm losing my mind, but it's like there's just small guards just have a hard time getting on the floor.
They're dinging Jace Richardson, Michigan State for that. I don't really see that with him. I think he's actually 6'3", and I think that's pretty good size for a point guard. Like it's not what it used to be, right? When Steve Nash was 6'3" and playing in the league, but 6'3" is still plenty good enough if you're a decent defender and like are a little bit stronger, than like most guards your size and your age. And he is, and I think Phylon has the potential to be, and he's already like pretty good defensively and positionally and like with his feet and with his positioning. So I think he'll end up being pretty good defensively.
I can't wait to think about this shit for way too long.
I already have been, brother. This has been my life for like 3-4 weeks now.
I kind of turned my brain off it because it's we had David. I had David who's joined our site. He's not written anything for us yet officially, but he actually wrote a whole entire piece on fears from Oklahoma. And I'm just sitting here going, I don't want us to run our draft stuff now because we're just going to rewrite it like 3 times between now and when draft happens. And it's very funny. Like we had our guy, Matthew, he had to leave Mavs Moneyball. He just didn't have the time for it anymore, but he like wrote the Lively profile before the Mavericks drafted Lively. And he's like, I just don't think they should trade up for him. He's really good, but I just don't think they should trade. And it's so funny that they ended up with him. And it's Reed Shepard. Raymond saving me. Reed Shepard is the one.
Oh, Reed is who you were thinking about. Oh, both my boys. Yeah,
they're both too damn small. This is just my take, though. I just
I think Reed needs to be a primary in order for this to work. He needs to be a primary on-ball player at 6'3". Mm-hmm. I think he has the size to make that work. But if he is your off guard, your primary guy has to be like Cade.
There's just so many big ball handlers now. It puts some of these really good guards, it just puts them out to pasture because it's like all the better teams in the league have like some bigger ball dominant guys. It's just like so size, the size and skill have taken such a bit. It's why the Mavericks, when you look at the roster, they're like, oh, we got size and skill. Okay, which is really neat. The problem is you threw away a MVP player.
Yeah, now you don't have it in the backcourt, really. You have skill, you don't really have size. Spencer helps with that, but Spencer is a minimum guy. The reason that works for teams like Boston, they can have 2 6'3" dudes because one of them is the best shot blocker, blocking guard of his generation, right? And Derek White. The other is maybe the best defender of his generation, and Drew Holiday. They were both shooting the ball like at 45% from 3 last year. And then when you don't want them to be the ones creating on ball because they have a really good defensive big wing on the other team. Oh, we'll just give the ball to Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. That's why that works. Not every team can do that.
For some final slander, and then we'll get out of here. Did you see Jason Tatum talking to Carmelo Anthony, kind of shitting on Cooper Flag?
What? No. That's so funny.
You're gonna have to Google this. It's not outright shitting on him. It's just like he's just kind of like, I don't get it. And not being rude or anything. He's just like, I don't get it. And like Melo, or who I'm pretty sure it was Melo, was like looking at him and he goes, he was 17 and playing with you guys in Las Vegas. What are you talking about?
You know what's so funny? His player, like there have been a lot of like the Kawhi Leonard player comps out there for Cooper. Mm-hmm. I think his best player comp might actually be just like plus Jason Tatum.
Like
because he's like doing the Tatum stuff.
Sure.
Yes, just like more efficient, better defensively immediately. Jason,
way better playmaker.
Just Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. Way better playmaker, but I mean, it's like, I don't know, man. The flag stuff is so funny because it hits like the Bill Simmons trifecta of like cross-racial comparisons and guy who just like, you just don't see players play like this anymore. And like what he did to the Baylor guy.
Oh, buddy.
Again, because he did it to him last year, and it's just like this dude is going to cause fights, and I can't wait.
He's so good. We can't put a ceiling on what his what his potential is going to be. He's so good, and he's so much better from the beginning of the season to now than anybody could have reasonably expected. He's one of the best passers in college, and one of the best rebounders in college, and one of the best shot blockers in college, and one of the best on-ball scorers.
It doesn't look real. And then like you go watch Duke play a couple of games, and it's like, oh. Okay, neat.
Unreal competitor, unreal off-ball scorer. I don't know, dude. I don't know what you do.
I don't know. All right, man. Well, thank you so much for hanging out, okay?
Heck yeah. Thanks for having me. Glad you're back doing this.
Oh, yeah. Talk soon. Okay, I'm going to answer Salam's question in the chat, and then we'll go. He says, I don't understand the hard run for the plan. Maximize your draft pick. You don't have that many left, and this team is too injured to go anywhere, trying to prove that the trade wasn't terrible. I don't really disagree with you, Salam. The challenge is if all these guys are getting healthy and they actually literally need the bodies, that's where this starts to get dicey. They could still fall apart. They really could. But, you know, when you look at the wins and losses that they've had, they lost some that they should have won. And now I feel like they've won some that they should have lost. So it sort of evens out in the wash. The Clippers games are going to be really big. The Mavs-Lakers game is going to be really big. Just is. And then there's the Memphis game and the last game of the year, like last game of the regular season. Like these games matter. So things could still get goofy. Got about 2 weeks left. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. 45-minute show. I really appreciate it by myself. Josh and I'll be back the next time the Mavericks play. You think I know when that is, but I'm not going to look it up. Pretty sure it's like Brooklyn Monday night. Everybody be good. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend, and we will talk soon. Go Mavs.